Well, hello, everybody. This is Carmen Vertullo with your Fastener Training Minute, coming to you from the Fastener Training Institute and AIM Testing Laboratory in beautiful El Cajon, California. And it is truly beautiful here today. We just came back from the PAC West show in Anaheim. And during that show, it's actually a conference and a tabletop. It was great, by the way. Thank you to PAC West for such a great program. But one of my students and clients had asked me about how to keep their fastener standards current and what they should have and what the fastener standards library of a informed, and that was their word. They said, we want to be an informed supplier, because apparently they got in a little bit of trouble for having either obsolete or inadequate fastener standards. And this is something that should be important to all of us. It's really important to us here at AIM Test Lab because we use fastener standards every day, all day long. Everything we do is driven by standards. And if you're a supplier or even a manufacturer, you might not use standards every day, but you use them sometimes, and you probably should be using them more than you are. So when we return, I'm going to tell you a whole bunch of cool stuff about how to keep your fastener standards library maintained and up to date, and what are the best gold standards for acquiring and maintaining your important fastener standards.
Carmen, this is Joe Morris with the Fastener Training Institute. So I recently came across a great quote by Benjamin Franklin. For the best return on your money, pour your purse into your head. That sentiment could not be better stated. The very best investment in your organization should start with training. And the Fastener Training Institute is ready to help train you, your team, and your customers. In March, we are continuing our webinar series, Fastener Basics Like Never Before. Join us on March 11th when we present the webinar, Lifting Hardware. There's a lot of you out there who supply lifting hardware, mostly eye bolts, chain, cable, turnbuckles, and the like. However, there's a lot more to lifting hardware than this short list. Selling and using lifting hardware comes with a special set of risks, and what you don't know can hurt you or even someone else. Then on April 1st, join us for aerospace fasteners, followed by fastener testing and inspection on April 15th. Each session is instructed by our savvy webinar expert, Carmen Vertullo, and is intended for anyone new to the industry, but also seasoned veterans who just want to know more about the products that you buy and sell. For in-person classes, FTI is hosting our next Fastener Training Week in Cleveland, Ohio, at the IFI headquarters. Join us for a week of fastener training from May 2nd through the 6th. Lawrence Klaus and Salim Brahimi will lead the class with hands-on demonstrations, group exercises, lectures, and in-person manufacturing tours. Participants are then eligible to take the Certified Fastener Specialist exam following the week of classes. Lastly, we're excited to join Fastener Fair once again to present our very popular full-day class, Fastening 101, on Tuesday, May 17th in Detroit. Please visit our website at fastenertraining.com for more information and a complete listing of all of our webinars and classes, or you can just send me an email at jom@fastenertraining.com. Now back to Carmen.
Quality products, quality service, quality customers. That's 3Q Inc., a fastener distributor unlike any you've worked with before. With its unique remote managed inventory stocking programs, wide array of secondary service offerings, and wholly owned cold forming capability, 3Q Inc. has been supporting fastener distributors since 2008. 3Q offers a wide range of 100% American-made fasteners, including 100% made in USA domestic lock washers, clevis pins and bolts, special ITW screw products, Cap-R, Boss Screw, TL stud, and grip tied inserts, Sems lock washer products, split lock washers, tooth lock washers, and square cone, as well as specialty and imported parts. Give 3Q a call today to discuss your needs and experience 3Q quality for yourself. 3Q Inc. www.3q-inc.com.
Well, hey everyone, welcome back. This is Carmen Vertullo finishing the Fastener Training Minute. Today we're talking about your fastener standards library. A client, friend, student had asked me this question recently, and I thought this deserves a comprehensive or in-depth answer. So that's what I'm going to give you. First off, a principle of all standards, whether they're fasteners or whatever business you might be in, is you need to have the most current standard that applies to the products that you manufacture or sell or inspect or test or whatever. So Keeping your standards current is important, and I'm going to give you a couple of resources for how to do that. At the very top of the list of resources, and I call this the gold standard of keeping your standards up to date, is the resource of the Industrial Fasteners Institute. And there are two of them really, but the one I'm going to focus on is the IFI's online book of fastener standards. Now, you're all familiar with the IFI's big book, the IFI Fastener Standards Manual, that has all of the more or less pertinent standards. Doesn't have every single one, but they republish that book about every 2, 3, 4 years. But they have something even better than that, and it's called the Online Book of Fastener Standards. It contains all of the standards that are in the book that you would normally buy, except they're in the format as published by the various consensus standards organizations. And for us, those important consensus standards organizations in the inch world, because IFI book focuses on inch fasteners, are ASME, the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, ASTM, the American Society for Testing and Materials, IFI, of course, has some standards, not very many, but they have some, and SAE. And all of the standards that we see in that book will be from either ASME, ASTM, IFI, or SAE. But when you go into that standard, for example, I'm just going to tell you about one quickly. Let's say we went to a very important standard, which is ASTM A193. That's where our B7 threaded rod and B7 studs and all kinds of stainless steel materials come from. That standard is actually called ASTM A193, A193M, because it includes metric product. If you have the standards book, the printed out book, it will only have the inch information in it. If you have the online book of standards, it has the complete ASTM as published standard, which includes all the inch and metric information. And there are a lot of ASTM standards now that include also metric product. So that's one of the reasons why the online book is so superior to the actual hard copy. Another reason is it's always up to date. As soon as one of those standards changes, it gets automatically put into the online book. Now, it's a subscription service, so you can't print it out. You can do screenshots of it and print those out, but you can't print it out. You can't save it on your computer, so you need access to the internet to be able to access it. If you go to indfast.org, you'll get to their website and go to products. If you look at the IFI Online Book of Standards, you will see there's a free demo. If you want to do the annual subscription, it's $575 a year, which is a deal. And they'll bundle it together with you. If you want the book and the online book, there's a bundle, and that is $1,100. So you get 1 year subscription, plus you get the hard book if you want it. That is, in terms of our inch and some metric standards, the golden source for fastener standards. That's what you want to have. Another golden source, and this is going to have implications for those metric fastener suppliers, of course, are ISO standards. You can buy those individually from ISO, or all those other standards can be bought individually. And there is a product called the ISO Online Browsing Platform, or OBP. And there is a version of that deals simply with all of the isometric fastener standards. And that can be bought through the Standards Council of Canada. And IFI will help you do that. Or if you need help getting to that, let me know and I'll help you with that. That's also about $500 a year subscription. It's absolutely awesome. It's the biggest bang for the buck in fastener standards that you ever get. The IFI online is a pretty big bang for the buck, but this is as big or bigger. So between those two, you're very well covered. And then you might say, well, what about military and aerospace standards? Well, there is access to the publicly available standards, which you can buy if you want to buy them, but some of them are free. So if you happen to be somewhere where you can write this down, write down Assist Quick Search, all one word, ASSISTQUICKSEARCH. And if you put that into your search engine, Google, or doesn't matter what you use, any good search engine will do, and you will find a website called Assist Quick Search Basic DLA. Now, DLA is the Defense Logistics Agency, and they're responsible for the oversight of many military standards. And if you put in any government standard that starts with either MIL, MS, some AN standards, but not very many. Those are all old and obsolete, but mainly the QQ standards, the FF standards, you will be able to download those from this site. Lots of those standards are being upgraded into the NASM system. And to get an NASM standard, you go to the Aerospace Industries Association, AIA.org, and that's where you buy those. Now, these all can also be bought from the various clearinghouses, Tech Street or IHS or whatever, but I recommend you go direct to the source for these NASM standards. But here's an example. One of my favorite standards in the fastener world, I don't know if favorite is the right word, but it's one that I have to deal with, is Mill Detail 1222. So I'm going to put that in my Assist Quick Search, and I'll hit search, and there it is. And what we end up with is the ability to download that standard. It's actually K. It's a large standard. It's several hundred pages. And now I own it. I just downloaded it. It's 51 pages. I'm sorry, it's not several hundred. Big standard. Now, the guys at IHS will sell this to you all day long for probably $100, and many people buy it, but it's free. So before you go buy a MIL standard or an MS standard, there's a couple of other ones, the QQPs, the FED standard. You go on Assist Quick Search and you can get that for free. So those three things, and then the Aerospace Industries Association will cover you. Now, there are a couple of other standards that are very important to us. One of them are the DIN standards, DIN, which are the German forerunners to our ISO fastener standards. But there are many DIN standards that have not yet been converted to ISO. If you need that standard or a piece of it, call me and I'll help you out. But basically, the only way to get your hands on that is to search the internet. You might find a place to download it, or just buy it from one of the fastener standards clearinghouses. The same is true of the JIS, the Japanese industrial standards that we run into from time to time. So I just want to encourage you to keep your fastener standards library up to date. It sounds like a lot of money, but it really is not very much money at all to use the IFI online book of standards and the ISO online browsing platform. Please call me or email me, carmenv@aimtestlab.com, and I will help you get tuned up and demonstrate any of these for you that you want to see. That's it for keeping your fastener standards library up to date and the best, most efficient way to acquire fastener standards. This has been Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. Thank you so much for listening.